Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a match preview for Villa's game against Everton at Goodison Park. It is at Goodison Park because we haven't played Everton yet, and I was getting confused earlier about whether it was at home or whether it was away. I'm joined by Neil from the For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Got to say, Neil, you got the squeakiest chair I think I've ever heard. Just as we were coming on there, then all kinds of noises coming from
I
it.
was thinking the exact same thing. I usually have kind of a backrest thing here because I'm getting up there in age now at the moment, and it slipped, and then my back is just on the leather part, and I was like, "Oh crap, I can't move now for the rest of the podcast." In
Yeah,
case
you got
I
to
make
stay. You got
noise.
to stay still. At least we've explained it, though. I was getting worried as we were coming on that people were thinking I'd be dropping one, just as we start. But how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's just been a great day today weather wise. But just as I look out the window, it is lashing rain. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
nice.
glad I'm in out of it now.
I mean, you've got your Luke Roper t-shirt on as well for your Luke Roper preview, so you're on brand. That's great. And don't forget, if you do want to get yourself some Luke Roper goodies, you can use the code TVV20, and that'll get you 20% off most things on their excellent website. So go on, treat yourself, help the Villa View a little bit as well. Neil, Everton away, as I've just said. How you feeling going into the game? A little bit buoyed, aren't we? Because we picked up that late point. It's always good to pick up a late result that you weren't going to get, but probably a little bit still frustrated that we didn't win as well. But how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good about this game. An unknown entity for us, I suppose, really, with regards to Everton and a team
Mm,
that we've kind of look. If I'm not mistaken, isn't it the oldest or the most played fixture in
yeah,
top flight football as well?
it
So
is.
this is proper history. We've just come from the Super League with manufactured history. Specifically with clubs thinking they were going to take their Champions League titles and call them Super League titles. And rewrite the history books. This is actual history between two real good clubs, real kind of community, family values clubs, if you even want to call it that. That the historic club. I'm looking forward to this, and a team that, in fairness, against Everton, we've had some luck against, and we've had some real crackers. Even you go back to Ashley Goal's last minute, or Ashley Young's
Ashley
last
Gold,
minute. Ashley Goal, yeah, that's what we
as
should.
he was that
Ashley Young.
day.
That was a brilliant day. That was a brilliant game. I remember I was working in retail at the time. I was working in a phone shop, and we had a couple of TVs in the phone shop, and I was trying to sell someone a phone, and I actually stopped in the middle of it as Ashley Young advanced with the ball, stuck it in the back of the net, and I went nuts. And your man was just looking at me as I was trying to sell him a phone, but I gave up. I gave up on the sale and just celebrated like a mad jock
Yeah,
after Young
it's,
scored that
it's
goal.
fair
But
to say you don't work there anymore.
no, no, I ran out the door, took your man's phone, ran
Straight
out the door,
away.
came back.
Yeah,
But no, it's proper fixture, and one that I think I'm looking forward to as well. Everton have been a sneaky big spender in the last few seasons. Obviously, they've got a Carlo Ancelotti um, in there, and they've spent a lot of money recently, and I suppose really we could look at them as a team that we could try and emulate as well. But also, there's a couple of pitfalls that Everton, I think, have, unbeknownst to themselves, kind of fallen into, with spending all that money on players and maybe not pushing on as far as they should. So this would be a real good barometer for where the Aston Villa of April 2021 are in comparison to where probably the Aston Villa of September, October in 2020 were. So I'm looking forward to this game.
yeah. Two clubs, two historic clubs, obviously with great fan bases, great histories, but two clubs that in the modern day are on the way up and have got bright futures ahead of them. But this season, probably the same for both teams here, Villa and Everton. That they think they're on the up, and we are on the up. But there'll be a tinge of disappointment with how the season's gone because you will feel that there could have been more for both sides, really, with the way it's been.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Everton obviously going away and spending money on James Rodriguez, as I mentioned, having Carlo Ancelotti there in and around the club, and obviously they're a great start at the start of the season. Calvert Lewin couldn't stop scoring hat tricks, never mind scoring goals, and things were on the up and up for them, just like they were for Aston Villa. But they hit their patch in the middle of the year. They had a lot of injuries, um, and they just lost a small bit of form. Obviously Pickford has probably flattered to deceiving goals for them, but he hasn't been a reason for their demise, I think, really, or not even their demise, because that's probably too harsh of a word. They're still in eighth position, but I think a lot of their fans would have thought that they could have cracked definite top six this year, and maybe even took a scalp and snuck in a COVID, in the abridged COVID season, into the Champions League places. So I think sometimes actually, and that's kind of what I meant by it when I look at a team like Everton, and I look at where Aston Villa are at the moment. While we did have a great start to the season, so did other teams, and we had no divine right to hit a sixth place, a top six finish. So that's why I think this is a good barometer, the way that it's placed in between games against Man City, Liverpool, all these teams that we have still coming up to play before the end of the season.
Well, Everton as well, their home form. I mean, there's some good news for Villa going into this game. Their home form has been pretty rotten. I think their away form has been excellent all season, but I think they might even be in the bottom echelons for home form across the whole season. I did an Everton preview for an Everton fan channel earlier, and it's really their home form that's let them down. So that's a positive omen going into the game for Villa. Although we do seem to break all these good omens whenever we play anyone.
Yeah, it's we will counter attack. I think we will see more of a kind of a traditional Dean Smith Villa side in this game. Everton will want to control the ball. They'll probably play. Allen, I think, is back, and Andre Gomez.
He's a good player.
They're two nice players. Andre Gomez is the best looking player in the whole Premier League as well, so he gets style points for that with his fantastic hair. But he does know how to control the game there in the middle of the field. And obviously they've got what you call him, James Rodriguez, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin. They've got horses that can run up front, and Gylfi Sigurdsson doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon as well.
He's in the goals at the moment.
Yeah, great player, great pro, and somebody just seems to be around for absolutely ever, and never ended up at Villa, but always seemed to be linked in some way, shape, or form at the start of his career.
Good insight into your hair growth there. You're talking about Andre Gomez and him being the best looking in the league. I'm starting to see what you're going for there with the hair. Going for a little bit Neil Gomez.
Cultured. I have a cultured right foot as well, from deep line playmaker position. So it's that's probably the best I could do. Well, our barbers are actually opening again on the 10th of May, so I can get rid of these. What do you mean excellent? I thought my hair was lovely.
I was saying excellent for you. I was saying if you do want that haircut, excellent for you. I don't really mind what you do with your hair now. It doesn't affect the channel. It doesn't matter.
I'm beginning the grey from my beard is beginning to soak up into my hair as well. So it's I was either go full George Clooney or grow it out long. So I decided to grow it out long.
Similar issues here with the grey, making more appearances than I would like on my head and in my beard. Some stats just flashed up there. Adam, the producer, put up. Calvert-Lewin's obviously the main man for Everton, the main goal scorer. Really good year for him. He's got himself pretty much. He's a certainty, isn't he, for the Euros now? I would say. Villa and Everton quite similar in that respect, in that they've both only really got that one out-and-out goal scorer, that out-and-out striker that they rely on. And if that striker doesn't play, God knows who's going to play there and what would happen.
Yeah, Richarlison is probably their next man up. They play false nine essentially sometimes. James Rodriguez, not much, but he's still, like, when you've got playmaking outlet like him, he's obviously took time to hit the ground running in the Premier League, and he was in and out a small bit. But when you've got him in there as well, yeah. And Villa, I think, like. The thing with Villa, I think this weekend it's going to be really interesting to see what way they line up, and the team sheet is going to tell a lot.
There's a new. I said we've only got one goal scorer, but there's a new goal scorer on the block, isn't there now?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. There's new sheriff in town in that aspect, and Keenan Davis, coming up against the likes of Holgate. I don't know when Michael Keane be back. He'll be coming against the likes of Holgate, Ben Godfrey in there, and the two. They're Holgate's a bit of a nasty bit of work, but he gets the job done. And Godfrey's a fine player. He can play either at left back or he can play in the centre as well. And then they've got the two wily old foxes in Seamus Coleman and Diane at fullback. So they won't be.
He's very good, didn't you?
Yeah, stop. He's brilliant. He's super. You can see why he's played at the clubs he's played at previously as well. So and when you look at a team like Everton, I keep on mentioning that they've spent money, but because they have, they've spent money and they've spent it on proven players like jeez, I can't even pronounce his name. That guy at left back, and even when you look at it, they spent somewhere in and around the boards of 35 million on Alex Iwobi. And I think it was 30 up to 50 on Alex Iwobi. I think Arsenal must have been licking their lips at that when that came through. But they've spent money. Some of it they spent well, some of it maybe not so well. But the caliber of their actual squad is what I'm getting at. The full squad, 1 to 25, is it far outweighs where Aston Villa are at the moment. So it just goes to show the levels of growth that teams need to go through to even get to 8th or 7th or 8th place, like Everton are in. And we've expedited our growth, I think, throughout the course of this season with some good performances and with some, with some astute tactical wins from Dean Smith as well, and obviously having a wizard like Jack Grealish, who unfortunately won't be there this weekend.
No, I mean you've made me think of some tactics there just by mentioning Mason Holgate. Let's get Jed Steer as sub goalkeeper, get him on the touchline staring at Mason Holgate. I think that's an avenue for Villa to explore. We've rattled Jed Steer's rattled Holgate before. Let's get him on the sideline, staring him out, and then maybe the strikers will get some joy in behind him because he is quite pacey. Holgate, I actually like him as a player as well. You've mentioned Davis, and we've mentioned him as being the new goal scorer on the block. I haven't spoken to you because you weren't on the show after the game. How great was it for him to finally score? And do you think now that he may come in and start this game?
I think he could. I've been very much on the wagon of saying, I don't know whether Davis should start. I don't know whether whether we mix it up with Ollie Watkins moving to the wing or whether we play 2 up top. I don't think we're going to be a 2 up top team. I just don't think that we've got we certainly don't have the control of midfield that even when we were playing well at the start of the season. I've always said we've been passive in midfield purposely so, and it's part of our tactic not to press that high up the field, or even if our press fails high up the field, we let them have the middle third. It was because we want to draw them out and counter attack. So I don't think we're going to go 2 up top much. It'll be a change within game, but I don't see any reason not to start somebody like Davis. Now that we have Wesley there, I think one of the biggest plus points of starting Davis, as I say, is that you don't need to fully change the whole formation and the whole tactic. Now that to take him off and move Watkins in and obviously make 2 changes to your formation, if you were to take Davis off. But now you can just bring in Wesley for the last 10-15 minutes, obviously fitness permitting. Wesley came on. Wesley got his head to 2 balls that were crossed into the box against West Brom as well. Yeah, he didn't put him into the back of the net, but he headed one straight at the goalkeeper, and while he was only on for 4 the small bit. And, I think that Wesley has a goal in him before the end of the season as well, as his confidence grows. But, why not play Keenan Davis at the weekend? Why not start him up front and let him get rough and ready with Holgate and Godfrey and see what happens? Because, Ollie Watkins is going to put a shift in for the team, and maybe it might take a bit of pressure off somebody like Bertrand Traore, who, while he's been very energetic on the field, things just haven't been happening for him with the ball at his feet for the last 10 games or so since Jack went out, really. And maybe it gives him a rest.
Yeah, I think there's a few interesting things with playing Davis up top. I think there's nothing to lose in trying Watkins from the left. A lot of main goal scorers at clubs play from the wings. You look at the teams that play in the Champions League, Salah and Mane for Liverpool jump to mind. They play from the wings. They're essentially forwards, but they play from the wing and they get a lot of goals. Villa are going to be definitely looking to make a big money signing striker-wise in the summer. So you think if they do that, that guy's not going to become to sit on the bench. So there's nothing to lose at this point by trying it. And the other thing is, we've waited for this goal for Davis for what it feels like a very long time now. Playing while he's confident, get him in the team. You never know what's going to happen. He might ruffle Everton, unsettle them, and get a couple more before the end of the season. So, again, giving him a chance before the season's out, I think it probably makes sense. And you say as well, Wesley from the bench, he's got previous against Everton from last season. Even just having strikers to bring on in the last game was a big thing for us because that's something we haven't had all season. And it did eventually change the game for us.
Yeah, and it absolutely did, and the fact that one of those strikers actually scored, I think, for his morale. Obviously, I know that the statistic of 50+ games, but I did see someone broke it down whereby on the minutes of play that he's actually played in those 50 games, it equates to 8.5 full games or 8.3 full games or something. So that's all he's played in the Premier League over the last 50 games, and actually over the last 3 years, that's all he's played, I think, realistically. So, be honest with you, for a young striker who isn't really brilliant with his feet, to have a 1 in 8 record, if that's still better than Joe Linton. and they paid 50 million for Joe Linton. So, I suppose context is everything. Bringing somebody on with 15, 20 minutes to go as a striker, in sometimes when you're chasing games an awful lot, when Davis has been brought on, it's something to bear in mind, I suppose. So the context that does mean a lot. But got his goal. Hopefully he drives on, hit the post, did everything but score as well when he came on. He was definitely the catalyst for change. And let's see if he can do it from the start. And confidence breeds everything. He doesn't need to be the best player in the world, but a confident player can be better than a really, really good player that's lacking in confidence too as well. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's two of the last three home games where he's come on and made a goal contribution and really made an impact. So if ever he was going to start, I think Saturday is the time that it's going to be. Another man who made his return to the starting lineup, Ross Barkley. I mean, he'll get no warm welcome going back to Goodison, to be fair. I think the Everton fans hate him from, as I said, I did the Everton preview earlier for the Everton fan channel, and they are not keen on Ross Barkley at all. But he came in. I thought he did all right. I mean, he's obviously always going to get stick in certain quarters now because people have made their mind up on him. But I actually thought he made a positive contribution to the side on Sunday.
Thought he just ran out of steam. I was pretty happy with him for the first 35 to 50 minutes, and he just ran out of steam. There are like lots of, I'm going to call them rumors because you're never going to figure out whether it happened or not about his long COVID and stuff like that. But it does tie in with timelines and so on. After he got COVID when he was injured, and then obviously then there was the COVID break within the team, and just hasn't really. But that's all conjecture at the moment with no proper, I suppose, basis. Nobody has actually come out and confirmed it. But if that is the case, and he's been huffing and puffing for weeks, that could have something to do with it. But I don't know. I don't think he starts. I don't think Smith starts him.
Do you not think? I think he's
don't
100% going to start.
really. I don't know. I just think we might see Ramsey because I think we're going to have backs to the wall performance now. I think we're going to need to have a small bit more movement in midfield, and I don't think Barkley. First of all, Barkley when he's back, when he receives the ball, when he's back to goal as such, or he's back to players. I think for a professional footballer, that's his worst trait. He doesn't seem to be able to get turned at all anymore. Well, not since the turn of the year anyway. And I think that maybe Ramsey might offer a small bit more in just, I suppose, kind of quickness and mobility there. But as I say, he very much could start. This would have been a perfect game for Morgan Sanson, but we haven't really heard what the situation is with him. Only that he's going to be out for a couple of weeks and that we won't see him. I can't even remember what happened to him, Dan. What was it? Did he just
I
get
couldn't tell you what the specific injury is, but he's carrying an injury at the moment.
Yeah.
I know that. He came off in the last game that he started. I think maybe it was Fulham. He came off in that game and he's been injured ever since. I mean, I think next season is where you'll see Sanson coming a little bit more. I don't see us getting much out of him for the end of this season. I think he was a player that was brought very much in for next season when he's had a full pre-season. I just wanted to go back to Barkley because I think a motivated Barkley is a weapon on a good day, and I think he'll be motivated against Everton. I think because he started the last game and did well, won a penalty, surely he's going to start. I know what you're saying about Ramsey, but surely in this game, Ross Barkley is going to start. Unless I'm being stupid.
No. It's and that's why I'm saying that now we've got options. It's very difficult to pick the team. Now we've got options in the strike force. Now, well, when I say options, now we've got Wesley and Davis that can come in there and have meaningful minutes, and that we can push Watkins out into the wing. Those options make a big difference also to who we need to have as the attacking driving force coming from midfield. I've no problem with Barkley starting after his performance last week, but I suppose just from a second guessing Dean Smith point of view, I think that he might put some legs in there. But if Barkley comes in there and sticks one in against his old team and does the whole refuses to celebrate,
Oh,
thing.
I think he'd celebrate. I feel like he'd celebrate. They really don't. They really don't like him. The Everton fans really have got a problem with him.
That's
the way he left. It's just the way he left, I think. But it is what it is. Another midfielder that's coming up through the ranks. I don't know how much you saw of the 6-1 for the under-18s against Newcastle, but Carney Chukwuemeka, hat-trick hero on Tuesday night when they played Newcastle in the FA Youth Cup. He looks a real player, doesn't he? He's been on the bench recently. There's a lot of calls from fans to get him involved in the first team, isn't there? And I've got to say, he looks the real deal.
he was so silky. He's such a gazelle,
He's a
you know.
good player.
Oh, he was just like the way he moves across the field is like, you know, I know we spoke about how much my hatred of running without a ball at my feet or when there isn't a ball in play. And like,
Are you saying you're a gazelle when you've got the ball now?
no, to say he almost makes me hate running with the ball because I can't run as freely as he does, you know, because he just covers the ground like it's like water just running down a hill. He's absolutely fantastic. We have like I know Purslow picked him up about a year and a half, 2 years ago, at one of the supporters trust forums, and yeah, he wasn't wrong. Anyway, he's a fine player, and you know the 3 goals he scored were kind of one of them was he just passed it into the back of the net, showed the composure of somebody far beyond his years, you know. So we're right to get excited about him. The club should be tying him down. I know he's under contract for a few more years, but that's somebody I think that you give a sniff of the Premier League in the last few games, and maybe bring him on against Crystal Palace, give him 15, 20 minutes in that game or something, or even bring him out the weekend, give him 15, 20 minutes because he's built like a man, you know. He's not a kid. He looks different to
He's six
every
foot
other
three,
child.
6'4", isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He looks stronger than a lot of the kids that are out there. Even some of the guys that are on the Villa team. You know, he looks a lot stronger than them. And yeah, you know, he justified his 3 goals as well because not only did he score the 3 goals, but he just bossed midfield against Newcastle as well, which was interesting. And there was another guy there as well. And I know he's probably not going to touch on the on the first team, but I hope I don't butcher his name. I think it was Reiki. He
Break in a
played.
midfielder, Iron Raker. Yeah.
Yeah. Just did everything right. Just did the right thing with the ball, and he looks like even since the start of the year, when you saw him play, he was more in a wider area. He looks like he's put on about 7 or 8 pounds of muscle over the course of the year. Since the start of the year, anyway. I think you know, but looked a decent player. But Carney just looked he was standout player, really was, and I think people should get excited about him, and I think we will see him named in a lot of squads, a lot of match day squads, you know, going forward between now and the end of the year.
Yeah, I said on the Athletic podcast that I do that he's the most excited I've been about a player coming through the academy since Jack Grealish. So it's been a long time, but you know that we all knew Jack Grealish was coming. We'd all heard the stories about how good he was, and then we saw him play in the Youth Champions League, the Next Gen, I think it was called at that point, and we thought, right, we've got a player here. I'm getting the same vibes when I'm watching Carney. He's a player I'm really excited to make it through at Villa, and hopefully we see him before the end of the season. But the caveat there is Dean Smith's the one who makes the calls, but Dean Smith's also the one that sees him train with the men, so he'll know whether he's ready or not. So we will see him when he is ready.
Yeah, and that's the great thing. That's what I like about Dean Smith as well, that he's not rushed in his decisions about playing people. Like last week, he could have thrown in Kane Hayden Kessler, but he knew what he had in Elmo. And every time we as a fan base say, "Oh, Elmo's getting up there in age," you know, he's gonna get done it right back. He comes out and he plays brilliantly, and he looks like he's not missed a beat, and you know, he's very positionally astute. I think it was in the preseason they played him at centre half, and I think the players were joking afterwards. They were calling him the Egyptian Beckenbauer or something like that, you know, because they played him in centre half for one of those games. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, there was no complaints from Elmo at the weekend. You know, he played very well, and it was a tough enough assignment because they were going to put people on him and they were going to have people running at him, but he just did his job, I think, and he was really solid. Certainly wasn't the reason that we gave up any of the goals for me, anyway.
Rasping volley as well that nearly went in. I mean, that would have got me. I don't get up off my chair much at home watching it on my own. I find football a bit sad watching it on my own. But I tell you what, if Elmo banged that volley in, I'd have been straight off the seat, I reckon, celebrating with the dog. I'd have been up that volley home. But the thing is, Matty Cash will be back in, won't he, on Saturday?
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah. And some good news on the fullback front today as well. Before we go, Matt Targett, new contract, a 2-year extension essentially to his deal. Been a big player for us this season. Probably outfield wise, he'd be my player of the season. I'd give the award to Emi Martinez, but outfield wise, no one has been more consistent than him. I think there were some quotes off the club website where he said that he looked at himself in the mirror in the summer and thought he needed to get stronger. And my God, he got stronger. I think he always struck me as like a fullback who was good going forward, but probably didn't like the defensive work as much as he should. This season, I think he's good going forward, and he loves the defensive work.
Absolutely, he's been like,
There he
who
is.
would have? There he is right. Who would have thought that even 12 months ago that people would have been tentatively saying, listen, Matty Targett could be a good understudy for Luke Shaw. He could be in there in the English team, and he's getting those plaudits, and he's been talked up to be, potentially not sneak in there for the Euros, but to get a sniff at an English spot soon. And that's all down to him. Another piece with him as well is that there was a couple of questions. I think I saw a couple of questions floating around on Twitter whether he would be able to, whether the outlet would be there, or whether he would have that outlet to kind of take the pressure off him with Jack being out of the team. And he's had 10, 11 games there with no Jack Grealish, and he hasn't skipped a beat. He's been absolutely fantastic. Not that Jack was fantastic defensively, but I think what you get with Jack is the outlet to be able to pass the ball to him and for him to carry it away and give you that breather. And a lot of people may have questioned Matty Targett's engine, I think, last year, that he was, getting up and down the field might have been a chore for him, but absolutely no question about it this year. He's been absolutely fantastic. And I think he's been, either himself or Konza have been our probably our most consistent players of the year, but Targett probably gets it for me too.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things to come out of the Targett conversation for me there. The first one is that Dean Smith improves a lot of players. A lot of players under his tutelage have improved at Aston Villa Football Club, and I think that's a massive thing, improving the players as players and human beings. I think that's something that Dean Smith goes very big on. The second thing is completely just escaped from my head, so I can't even say it now. It's completely gone. Oh, what was it?
Second
Terrible.
thing with Matt Targett was
The perils of live TV now have got to me. Just gone from my head. What I was going to say, it was all there, and it's just completely gone. And it doesn't seem like it's coming back.
we're just going to say that he's developed into a leader, something that he wasn't last year, and we'll
Yeah. Oh, I
yeah,
wish
that sounds like it.
I mean, it could have been the best point I was ever going to make, and I've completely forgotten it. So that's a really, really, really disappointing way to end the show now. But I thank you for
Give
joining
me a
me.
shout if you think of it. Give me a
Yeah, I'll
shout. We'll
text
come
you
on.
later.
We'll
If
come over for 45 seconds. Do another live if you
Yeah,
think that
I'm,
there's no
I'm
problem.
still trying to wrap my brains around whatever I say now is going to be a complete anti-climax. So it was Dean Smith. I've got it. It was Dean Smith improving the players. The second thing is that players do need time. Not every player hits the ground running as soon as they join a football club. If you give a player a season, you get rewarded, and that's what's happened with Villa.
Yeah, absolutely. And for too long, Aston Villa have just kicked players out the door after 2.5 seasons, or maybe 18 months or 2 years, or they've probably put them into a bomb squad. Like we've been down this road with Alan Hutton and players like that before. But as you said, consistency, trying to keep things around, trying to keep the core values of a system around, and not chopping and changing. Familiarity from that point of view for players, it's worth its weight in gold, because there's a reason why Alex Ferguson could just bring players in out of nowhere and get them playing in the Man United team and keep the levels high, because the consistency of his thought process, his match tactics, what he expected from people was there. And that's why you see, like, yes, I know success breeds the consistency of keeping a team manager, and but I think the longer you can keep a manager who is getting that from players and building upon players, like maybe like a Sean Dyche has done at Burnley, the better you're going to see of these players that are perceived to be maybe, lacking that small bit from a quality point of view. And I'm not saying Targett is doing that, but 2 years ago people would have said Targett wasn't up to it for Villa, even coming up from the Championship. And we're seeing what he's made of now, and that's a big piece for me. I've been literally, like, I'm the card-carrying member of the Smith In Brigade, and I don't see any reason to get rid of him anytime soon, even if we don't hit the heights that we hit this season, next season, because for us at Aston Villa, as I said, like it was for Everton, and maybe that's why Everton have started to stagnate a small bit, is it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we need to build something, build a bit of consistency, not have a new guy come in, flavor of the month, come in, like bring in a Mourinho or someone like that, who doesn't look at the Carney Chukwuemeka's, doesn't look at the Jaden Philogene Bedeses, doesn't look at any of those guys, the Kane Hayden Kesslers, and decides to bring in maybe a Marcus Alonso at 33 years of age. We don't need that at Aston Villa at the moment. We need consistency, stability. We need somebody to grow the team in a vision. And just because his name is Dean Smith, as Sam Allardyce once said, and his name isn't like something
Sam
very,
Allardyce.
very Sam Allardyce, yeah. But I'm confident that Dean Smith is a coach as opposed to anything else, and coaches improve players. And there will come a time when we won't all be in the Dean Smith in brigade. That's just the way football is, and that's life. That's the way it happens. But for now, I think we're punching above our weight, and Everton will be a very, very good test of us at the weekend.
Yeah, give me a prediction, Neil, then before we go.
1-1.
No, I was going to go 1-1. That's what I said on the Everton thing. I did. I think 1-1. Although it won't be as a cagey 1-1 or a season-defining 1-1 as it was at Goodison last season. Because I remember how I felt after that 1-1 draw when we chucked it away. I remember just thinking, we are finished. We are gone. No way we come back from that. And now look where we are now.
I was the same. I was there. Isn't it such an Aston Villa thing to be relegated by a header from Theo Walcott? And I was just going, for God's sake, like. But thankfully, it didn't happen. And we're here to tell the tale.
Yes, I still marvel at the fact that we got out from that position. When I see the league table with I think was it 3 or 4 games left at that point? I can't remember. When you look at that league table, you just think there's no way we come back from that. But we did, and we're a stable Premier League team now looking to build, and we'll see what happens in the summer. Before we go, I just want to alert you to the fact that obviously football in solidarity is a lot of clubs, a lot of people involved in football. From 3 p.m. tomorrow, they will not be posting any content or any social media at all from Friday through till Sunday. So at the Villa View, we feel very strongly about racism and hate. We think it's wrong. We think it needs eradicating from the game. Us not posting on social media, to be honest, doesn't really make a statement, because we only really post out when we've got a video that's coming out anyway. So we're not going to do a post-match point show on Saturday after the game. We don't feel it's right to do that. So we're going to fall in line with Aston Villa Football Club and basically give ourselves a ban from doing content as well over the weekend, because we believe strongly that racism is horrible and it needs kicking out the game. So yeah, if you're wondering where the video is at the weekend, it won't be there for the reasons that I've just mentioned, but we'll put something out on social media explaining it much better than I've just explained it there. Neil, thanks ever so much for joining me. Pleasure to have you on as always. I'm sure we'll have you on again soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your haircut when the barbers open again. And thanks to everyone for tuning in to the show tonight as well. And thanks for bearing with me when I struggled to make a point that then wasn't actually that important or that good at all. So thanks very much for sticking with us through that. Something I always forget to do is please subscribe to the Villa View. If you do enjoy our content, then subscribe to the Villa View with the post notifications on, and give the video a like as well, because I always forget to do that. And subscribers have gone up very slowly. It may be because we're rubbish, or it may be because I forgot to say that at the end of every video this season. But yeah, if you could do that, that would be really helpful. Have a good rest of the evening and enjoy the game at the weekend. Up the Villa.